All right, so is this the fourth class?
Yep.
Fourth of 5. And we're going to cover the cosmic key and its ability to predict events in your life and others in your clients' lives. It's as I said, it's a foolproof system. It's something that I have I've never seen it fail. It's almost scary because it's so accurate. As you know from my book, The Cosmic Key, which just came out, that I've spent a lot of time documenting its power of influence and how effective it can predict things in a person's chart. I've used something that's on public record, and that's death. And that's celebrities, because everyone knows when someone passes on. Whether it was Robin Williams' suicide, or it's the recent Hernandez who killed himself in jail. All these are documented times and events that we have absolute knowledge of. That's why I use them. And it also shows the power of this, the destructive power in a chart, to cause someone to go that direction. We had a case, as you might have remembered last week, I talked about the young lady that was depressed, and Karen and I did the chart. We looked at the chart and in Newfoundland, and I said to her, this child's going to commit suicide this month. And if she doesn't achieve it this month, and she'll do it with drugs, I said. If she doesn't achieve it, she will make another attempt next month, and it'll be a violent form of, and I knew that by the new moons. Obviously, the first new moon was afflicting Neptune, and the cosmic key was set up perfectly for that. So, as to tell the story, since we're on video here, I'll just tell it real quick. She told the mother, who was a nurse, that her daughter was potentially going to commit suicide this month, and she knew she was depressed. That's why she asked Karen to do a chart. And then at that point, she had told her about the risk of suicide by drugs, and she said, well, that's not possible. I took all the drugs out of the house a month or 2 months ago, or whatever it was. I think she said 3 months ago, and there's no drugs in the house. Being a nurse, I'm sure she had a good collection of all kinds of drugs. Women that work in hospitals and around that, you generally have self-medicated stuff. If they need it, they know what to take. And sure enough, so Karen just told her what we saw, and that was the end of it. But when she hung up, the woman got so concerned, she left work and decided to go home and just make sure. And she went through the girl's bedroom, and she found handfuls. This is just one picture of some of the pills she found in that bedroom. And she sent them to Karen, and she found enough to kill her in that room, along with a suicide note saying that she was going to kill herself. So that is an example of the power to prevent something from happening. And I say that to say, this is a bit macabre. You're reading all about death here. You say, well, who needs to know that? We're not going to predict death for anybody. I'm not, you're not. But maybe you can prevent somebody from doing something, or having an accident, or doing something that might take their life. If you remember last week, one of my former students, who was a dear friend as well, Tammy had predicted the death of her landlord's girlfriend and asked him if he had car insurance. And he said, well, why? Of course I do. Does she have car insurance, his girlfriend, because he's letting her drive the car? And she said, yes, she's covered. He said, well, I see an accident and potentially even her death. And it happened just like that, exactly. So in this case, forewarned wasn't forearmed, because obviously he didn't intercede or do something to take her serious in that prediction. The point I'm getting at is that the value of this is both. One is when we have somebody that is in a near-death situation, hospital maybe. Barbara has already experienced this. We've used this for that. When we had a case of, who was this year?
Well, after my mom passed, I did it. It took me about a month to do it, because I was kind of freaked out about doing it, but I did it. And lo and behold, it was there, and actually the 3 witnesses was a trine. It turned out to be a trine. And, but she wanted to pass very badly, so it was a benefit for her.
It was, yeah.
But what was interesting was my brother had, we thought, a heart attack. And he's kind of ill anyways, he's not the strongest person. So I was really upset, and I said, well, I'm going to look at the Cosmic Key. Do I have to buy a plane ticket or what here? And his transiting Saturn was conjunct his Mars, and his progressed Mars was conjunct his Saturn. So it was the Mars-Saturn heart attack thing, but that was it. So there was only 2 witnesses. So I said, okay, he'll be all right.
So you get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's was my case back 9 years ago, 9 years ago when I had a heart attack. I had 2 witnesses that were very clear. You know, Mars squaring Sun, which rules the heart, being triggered by the progressed planets and the transit Saturn. So
I just wanted to mention too, with the 2, there wasn't any orbs. They were both exact.
Exact.
Yeah, Saturn, Mars, and Mars, Saturn. It was like, whoa.
That's what's astounding about this, I think, is the fact that it takes 28 years for for Saturn to transit that chart. It takes 28 years roughly for the progressed moon to go around that chart. What are the odds statistically that those planets would align themselves to form crucifying energies at that point of time? To me, it's unbelievable that you could do that. I mean, to get them both to line up. And then the third one, the new moons, added to the factor, is something else. That's a 28-day cycle. What always intrigued me was that this whole formula works on a 28. Okay, sometimes the transits are 29 years, 28, depend. The progressed moon moves roughly, we use a day equals a year, okay? But the progressed moon might be moving 14 degrees a day. And another time it might be moving 12, which is its mean motion. Another time it might be slowing down to 9 or so. But the point being that's why you have different lengths of time. If I see a person's born, and you should know this as an astrologer, if I see somebody's born with a moon afflicting Saturn at birth, okay, that is called the moon chasing Saturn, or Saturn chasing the moon, whichever you prefer, because their cycles are 28. And so right away, when you do a person's chart and you see a Saturn opposing the moon or Saturn squaring the moon, instantly you can make a prediction, roughly, accurately. And that is, you've had a crisis every 7 to 14 to 21 to 28 to 36 years. Okay, now it could be off a year or 2 one way or the other. In other words, either side of that. Okay? Did you relate to that?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I was just telling her what you were talking about is the Saturn cycle, the 7 years, the 14 to 21. But they both move at the same pace. So for your whole life,
they're chasing each other.
They're going to be squaring and opposing and your whole life.
You can't get away from them. And I've seen it over and over again. And people sometimes, especially when you start talking about events at 7 years old, very few people remember it. But I'll have somebody come back later and say, oh my gosh, that's when my parents divorced, that's when, they'll all of a sudden they put it all together again, At 14, I was in, school and this happened and that, and I was in the hospital for this or that. They'll come back later because when you're laying it out for them, right away, instantly, people's memories aren't that great. But it's astoundingly accurate. So we're going to learn how to do that today. And we're going to be able to put it in your own charts. Your assignment this week will be to do your own cosmic key. And I'll help you. So if you're having challenges, call me. That's the phone works, okay? And Barbara, you can help anybody that needs help on this.
Yes, I can help. Yes, I can help anyone. And I also have the computer program with the 3 wheels. So
right.
Yeah.
So how many have astrological programs on your computer? Can I ask which ones you got?
Silver Fire.
Silver Fire, and you have?
Time Pencil.
I like that best.
You like that?
I should
want
show discrimination here? Okay. You don't have one. You should think about that. I'll help you, direct you on that, okay? It's important you have it, okay? Even on your phone, you can get time passages. Now, they have a free version, and then they have one for $29.
It's not as good as the computer.
Huh?
You can't do like the triple chart on the app.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's fun if you're out.
Yeah, it's fun
Chatting
to like
somebody.
start. Yeah, I use it. Pull it up with people.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
fun.
Yeah. So what I would suggest is, you know, if you don't have, we can help you, advise you and counsel you on which one to get. I have a program that is quite expensive, but it's really my favorite, and I helped encourage the man that developed it to do some things for that program that made it easier for me to work. And that is the ability to spring forward, move forward, or backwards to every phase of the moon. So I can jump to the next new moon by just touching a button, one of the, you know, indicators on there. And I can go backwards. So if I'm looking to see what new moons are going, it doesn't just move the new moon, it moves your transit Saturn and your progress moon along with it. So all those charts change as you click that button. Bam, 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 moves forward or moves back. So when I lived in Massachusetts, he lived close to me and he was developing this program. And it's called Intrepid. So if you need information on that.
So does it kind of have the cosmic key inside the program?
It has what now?
Does it sort of have the cosmic key?
No,
No,
well,
no.
you're gonna, yeah, the
It's like
cosmic,
it just has a three, well, whatever.
yeah, the cosmic key is actually something you've got the tools already, don't even know it. I mean, you know, everybody knows where transit Saturn is, okay? You need some private lessons is what you,
Yes, I
quite
do.
frankly, you know, sit down and
Of
learn,
course.
or really get started in the basics again. But here's the thing, you all know, anybody in the room can't tell me where Saturn is right now, Saturn transit right now?
27.
Yeah, Sag. 27 Sag.
See? Okay. That's one of the three. You got it, okay? And it's in every ephemeris. If you look at an ephemeris, I've got the ephemeris sheets up there somewhere. But I show you how to use those. You know, you need to take some time. There's a lot of people here to help you with that too, you know. We're a group that we care, okay? Right? We care. All right. So the other thing is, so you know transit Saturn. The new moons, I gave you a list of the new moons just a minute ago, and they are every month. The new moons are there.
Could you have another list of moons?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Maybe you have to make another copy. Let's see.
No, they're there.
Huh?
They're there.
No, I just used them all. I handed them out.
You can share one.
Oh, is there one left?
I was reading the table, so that's why I moved you before.
No, I'll just copy them. Here, who's got a copy of one? Let me make some copies for this. There used to be years ago, I was looking to see last night on Amazon if they got another copy or somebody's done it again. I use this, no, this traveled with me through prison.
Is that what I have on at home? All that information that you sent me? That
It's-
everything.
It's not from this.
It's not from
No.
that? Okay.
So this is called Eclipses and Lunations in Astrology. And
Okay.
if you see property around Watson, I thought I had my prison number on there. I don't see it. Anyway, you see how old and beat up this thing is?
It's beloved.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. And it's every year from here 1918 is all the new moons, the full moons for the entire year.
Wow.
And I wish somebody else would do this. They haven't done it. So anyway, and it's got a lot of neat things on here about how they work and what. It's funny, I write things in these things sometimes and I wonder what I was writing them about more. But anyway, so you can get this on the internet now. You don't have to do this. You can go online and get all sorts of new moon things figured out. I can tell my eyes were a lot better then. Look how small my writing was outside the edges there.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
What did any of them say? I'm curious.
Wow.
Read them to me.
Okay, one says 9/20 visits refused for Janine, September 20th Rosh Hashanah, and you also put Jew, New York.
I did?
Yeah, and let me see, dislocated left clavicle at 2 o'clock.
Oh, really? That's on there?
Yeah.
I got in a fight, and I tried to do a drop throw on a guy, and he braced on me when I threw him. I'm really good at judo, and I thought I was good with him, and I was taking him down, grabbed his arm, fell, and was going to roll over and take him down, and he braced like this. He just braced. He knew what to do, unfortunately. And when I hit the ground, I hit the shoulder, and his clavicle went out like that. Then I could have got my butt kicked, but the guy had a little compassion. He didn't beat me up. I couldn't have fought him at that point.
And then you have a Sun, Mercury squaring Mars.
I got a lot of stories.
You have a Sun, Mercury squaring Mars, and on that day it was recorded that you got typhoid, diphtheria, and other vaccinations. The Sun.
I wrote all that
The
in?
Mars, the shot.
Now, what year was that, by the way?
1971.
Now, see, you can see how much I did
See, I
astrology.
was living in a commune then. I was having a much better time.
You shouldn't have been. But you know what? It's amazing. You can see how much I lived this. Everything that happened in my life, I was always keeping it recorded somewhere. I didn't know that was in there. Actually, it's been so many years. I mean, 71. How many years ago was that?
Right.
Half a century, right? But I mean, that, and my writing was so small, I couldn't do that
It's
today.
really small.
Yeah, because I had good eyes back then.
Well, you don't
So,
know I'm reading it. Okay.
Did you make a copy for me? Laura?
Okay.
Oh, good. Put 3 of the sweeteners in it for me, honey.
3.
Yeah, 3. So, without an argument, please. Without an argument.
Okay,
Okay.
what? Sugars?
No, the little sweeteners. Let's not go into that.
Here you go.
Okay. Karen, are you there?
I'm here.
Are you? You putting up with me? All right. All my war stories. Anyway. Wow. Can you see everything real good? Perfectly, my wife would say.
Really well. I can see it really well.
She always corrects me. Whenever I say perfect, she always says perfectly.
Perfectly.
I guess perfect, she says perfect as a noun,
No, perfect is an adjective.
as an adjective, and what's the other one? Perfectly?
Adverb.
As an adverb. Like I really care. 25 years she's been trying to correct me. It's always just perfect for me. Anyway. All right, so where are we? My gosh. We're going on a journey here today. Okay. So, yes.
Saturn's transits and new moons, that's what you look up to.
Okay, and you know now, see, you've got the new moon positions every month. You put them on the outside of your wheel on your chart. Your Saturn, you know where it's at. It doesn't move that fast. And it goes forward and backwards, left, retrogrades and direct. So it likes to hang out right where it's at about right now until December. It's going to start moving again. Did you notice that? It's going to be there for a while. So it sits right on top of my Venus on my Grand Cross in my chart. Makes me really attractive, of course.
Okay.
I'm teasing you. But it makes me, it sets off my Grand Cross in my chart is what it does. My Grand Cross, which is a symbol of what? Potential conflicts and more. And it probably means I'll give her a bad time. She's my mate, Venus, on a cross. So I can be a little hard to live with at times. So all that's going on right now with transit Saturn. So it doesn't take an astute astrologer to look in a chart and say, well, I know it's 27 now, and it's going to probably be close to that till December. So if you're looking at a person's chart, you can be very prophetic with that alone. Now add the other 2 things, which we're going to learn to do. First one is simple. It's progressions. The progressed moon is a day equals a year in the eyes of the Lord. Okay, so if your progressed moon is doing the same thing, in my case, let's say, I think mine's sitting on top of my, if I recall, Mars now, about 5 Pisces, squaring my sun. So now I got two crosses set up in my chart. I got my Grand Cross being triggered, and I got my progressed moon. Now I've got to keep an eye on what? What other thing do I have to watch?
You progressed. I wasn't paying attention.
The what?
I wasn't paying attention. I
Okay.
thought maybe you were trying to do the cosmic key on yourself.
I am.
How about the progressed moon? Is that
I did the progressive moon. I said it was at 5
Okay.
Pisces, right?
And then Saturn.
I think I'm just
Transmute
from
Saturn and the new moon.
good. The third one we need is the new moon. How simple is that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's like an hour hand, a minute hand, and a second hand. I look at the new moon like a second hand. I look at the hour hand as the minute hand is Saturn, and then I look at the progressed moon as the hour hand. When they all line up, the alarm goes off. Simple, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you think anything so simple could work? It does. I can prove it in the book. It works. It happens every time I use it. It works. Okay. Now that sounds a little far-fetched, but I don't pick those charts I use in those examples because they fit. I apply it because it happens, and I say I got to figure out whether it works on this one too. And I always figure when I do a chart, I'm going to find an anomaly. I'm going to find something doesn't work. And in all the years I've been doing this, it doesn't ever fail. Now, is it just me? Is it just coincidence? You know, I don't think so. So you're going to find out as you work with this, its accuracy. All right? So let's look at some of this, and I'll take you through a few of them that are in the book, and we'll look at them together. And I made it real simple in the book because every time I do this, every example I show, I take you through the 3 steps each time. Okay, so that you can't fail. You know, it's so simple. One of the things that who wrote, Tracey? Did you write about the simplicity of it?
Mm-hmm.
What did you say? How did you say?
I never know what I say.
I know, but it was, by the way, she's a writer. She wrote some beautiful things. But you said it was, what did you call it?
It was genius by virtue of its simplicity.
That's it. Oh, I like that. I like it because it's so simple. And it's not something that's going to be intimidating to anybody, but they'll just take a little time to do it. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here. And you know, we did this last week, didn't we? The scriptures, where I got this from, scriptures.
Yes, say it again now.
Let no man judge you, neither meat nor drink or the Sabbaths of the new moons, which are a shadow of things to come. A shadow of things to come. The new moon is a shadow, isn't it? The earth over the moon. And they've got a new moon or the Sabbath. The Sabbaths were the full moons. Did you know that? Okay, Sabbaths were, full moons were considered Sabbath. It's sabbatical. We use the word, okay, same, you know. Okay. How many of you know that our Easter is celebrated by calculating when the first full moon falls closest to the vernal equinox?
I know that.
You knew
It's
that?
the beginning of the year.
Yeah, there you go. So when that happens, and it's the first Sunday closest to that. That's how we celebrate Easter.
Well, it follows, Passover is the full moon, and Easter is a week after the full moon. It follows the Passover. Actually, that's how it was picked. Passover came first.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm Jewish.
I know, right? Doesn't it make sense though? Because in the Easter story, he was hung up. First it was Passover, and then he got.
Passover is
And then a
always
week later, he died.
Passover is always the full moon, and Easter is 1 week after the full moon.
Okay.
Okay.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that the ancients revered these times. The full moons were very, very important. New moons or eclipses also were eclipses of the sun. There's been wars. A war between the Medes and the Persians stopped because of an eclipse. Because they knew the first one that inflicted the start of the fight, if you would, that initiated it would lose. Because they knew the power of this symbol. And you don't want to be the first to inflict the wound. You don't want to start. Because you'll be a victim if you do. Why did the Medes and Persians stop fighting? Because they didn't want to be the first. They didn't want to start it. They said, if we start, or you start, no, you start, no, you start. You know, it's like hit me first, right? They don't want to start. I'm telling you, they knew astrology back then. More than you realize, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the Chaldeans knew astrology. They could calculate the Saros to an accuracy that's amazing. That's back how many centuries ago? People thought they were superstitious, that the eclipse, they thought the dragon was consuming the sun and all this horse, excuse me, you know, it wasn't true. They knew what was going on very well. Okay, so the key to astrological prediction, okay? What do I do with my clicker?